Welcome back, everyone, for the final week of Best Bet as we close out what was a really fun Bing Crosby meeting that saw a lot of excellent racing, especially on the turf. And don't forget, today is a mandatory Pick Six payout day with an existing jackpot of more than $513,000. Going to project maybe we get about $5 million in the pool total, and all that money's got to go back to us, the players. So be sure to get involved today in the 20-cent Pick Six. I am your host, Frank Scatoni, and as most of you know, I am joined each week by a special guest to discuss the best betting opportunities on the Sunday card. Just a reminder, it's not a traditional selection show. We're not going to talk about every race. We're just going to look at a few specific races and wagering strategies that offer good value in order to set us up for a decent score. If you're watching live, feel free to leave us a comment or ask us any questions. The show will also be archived on Del Mar's Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube platforms. Okay, enough of that. Let me introduce today's special guest. A few weeks ago, a good friend of mine and a really sharp handicapper named CC Rogers, done my on-track seminar many times before. He came up to me and said, "Hey, you really need to have my buddy on your show. He just won a Breeders' Cup tournament on horse tourneys to the tune of $34,000. I said, "Okay, well, let me meet him." So I did, and I could tell he was a very sharp guy. So here he is today. Please welcome Mike Corrales. Mike, how are you?
Hey, good, Frank. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Happy to have you. Always interested in learning more from people out there who I've never met before. So this is the second time we're talking. So we're gonna learn some things about you. Before we start and talk about handicapping and wagering and all that good stuff, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into horse racing?
I grew up on the East Coast, North Jersey. Would frequent the local tracks with my father. Summers in Saratoga. We'd go Monmouth Park in the summers, Meadowlands, Aqueduct. It just at a young age got a experience of the whole racetrack, and it's in my blood.
Yeah. And then as the years progressed, I mean, you got you get more and more hooked, or did you ever take a break, or like what's your trajectory to how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, so ended up in Southern California in 2005 and started going to Del Mar and got the chance to experience Zenyatta at Del Mar, and kind of got me hooked back in. Just watching this horse bring so much excitement and good vibe to the to the races, and just kind of followed Zenyatta and met some good buddies, including Cece down at the racetrack, and just continue to build on the craft here. Handicapping's my hobby and enjoy it, and seem to do fairly well at it at times.
Yeah, well, that's very, very similar to mine with the whole East Coast thing, except I didn't start when I was at a young age like you did. I was going to those very same racetracks when I was in my mid-20s, and like you, I came out to Del Mar and I absolutely loved it. And I'm glad you mentioned Zenyatta. She's my all-time favorite racehorse. I know my handle on Twitter is Point Given, but Zenyatta is my absolute all-time favorite racehorse. And we talk about a showgirl. Oh my God, she was a diva. She would put on a show. She was a rock star. She knew exactly what she was doing. She played to her audience. People would travel far and wide just to come to the racetrack to watch her do her thing, right? Her little prance with before the races in the winner's circle. She was just a sight to behold. And for her to do what she did with the running style that she had is just, to me, the best horse that I've seen since I've been following the racehorses, just because of what she accomplished, given her running style. Crazy.
Still get goosebumps watching replays of her winning these races too. And, just to add, it was heartbreaking to see her lose that Breeders' Cup race by a nose. Ran her race, but just came up that short, being undefeated for her lifetime.
Remarkable. Well, I'm so glad you mentioned Zenyatta. All right, well, tell us a little bit about your handicapping process. What do you use? What are you looking for? Kind of walk us through what you do.
Yeah, so I transitioned from the daily racing form to Brisnets. I felt like I can kind of get a little visualization, reading into the Brisnets and handicapping a race. They have just a little bit more information in there, a little bit more about the breeding, trainer pedigree as well. I like to look for horses on certain with certain track biases like speed on the dirt, closers on the turf, high percentage trainers dropping in class, horses that are training well on the local track as well. So different angles that go into my selections.
Yeah, and one of the things that we were talking about before that I find interesting and is something that I do, I often say sometimes the best handicapping you can actually do is after the race has just been run. We talked about how you go back and you'll watch the replays of the races and kind of see if you missed something or maybe you misread the pace, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially now, got into the handicapping tournaments. If you miss a race because you're handicapping tournaments, you're just making one selection, one horse, and if you miss that race, I like to go back and look at the race that won and see what I missed and see if I could, kind of learn from that. You can call a mistake,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You have to constantly keep evolving, keep learning. I do the same thing. There are some days though when you're just wrong. You're absolutely wrong, and you miss it, and you try to learn from it and move forward. And there are other days where you're right about a lot of things, but it just doesn't go your way. That's horse racing. You just got to kind of shrug it off and move on to the next one. But you talked about contest play, and I want to talk a little bit about that because I know how hard it is to win a 2-day, a $2 win place mythical tournament, especially on a site like Horse Tourneys with a lot of really, really sharp players, and especially on a weekend with the Breeders' Cup, where everybody has worked the cards so well, and you're playing against a big field of people for that prize money. Tell us a little bit how you got involved in contest play, your evolution of a contest player, and then also tell us a little bit about that tournament and how you took it down.
Just started getting into playing these tournaments. Shout out to my buddies on the East Coast, Frankie G and Peter. Thank you guys. You guys kind of are my mentor. So got invited out to the NHC last year. Got to kind of experience the whole tournament play and everything. The 3 grueling days of handicap. Kind of like a World Series of Poker kind of setup.
Yep.
And decided to just dive into it and got off to a really hot start. And just continue to play these tournaments. They qualify into these larger betting challenges. You can win into the Breeders' Cup. You can win into the NHC and also cash tournaments. This Breeders' Cup challenge, I kept trying to win into the Breeders' Cup. These horse players and horse tourneys contests, but fell short there. So I decided to enter into the 2-day horse tourneys challenge, and got off to a pretty hot start on Friday. Now they were all championship races, so you had 5 races, championship races Friday, 9 on Saturday. Got off to a really hot start, and just kind of chipped away on Saturday and found myself in first place going into the last race. I was $10 ahead. I knew Flightline. Nobody could take Flightline and beat me, but I just knew in my heart this horse was just, couldn't lose this race. So I used Flightline, and when he pulled away in the stretch, I knew I won, and it was quite a thrill, man.
Yeah, you wanted to win with a mic drop. You wanted to go out picking the win on top, mic drop, Flightline, pay me the money. No, I love it. So it's that's remarkable to me because you say you're relatively new to the contest play. So, would you say this is kind of like your first year doing it?
This is my rookie year.
Okay.
Yeah, seem to do quite well at it. It's you could do several types of tournaments on there, like the winner take all or pool style, which are cash tournaments. And then, qualifying into betting challenges like, Del Mar, on-site Del Mar events.
Yep.
And other tracks as well.
Yeah. Well, for your first season, it's pretty remarkable. You won the 2-day Breeders' Cup tournament and won about 34 grand. And then you also qualified for the NHC, right? So this will be your first year going as an actual participant.
I'll be an actual participant. Yes. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll be there this year in March as well. So I'll see you there. We'll be duking it out, looking for those big price horses that help you win contests. And that's what I want to talk about next, because in order to win these $2 mythical win place tournaments, you have to be right about a lot of races, but at the same time, you need a cap horse or two sprinkled in. So what is your approach to kind of sniffing out these long shots that help you get to the top of the leaderboard?
Yeah, just getting dialed into a race, like the track bias plays a big part of it. Like speed, like the shorter races on dirt, I look for speed horses on the outside where they can kind of, settle into their spot and pull ahead. A lot of the times I notice the rail seems to be kind of dead on these shorter races.
Yeah.
Also look for horses that are training well too. If you see a horse that might be on a little bit of a break, they come back and fire a bullet workout. The horse is probably live. He looks, don't be afraid to, put a, cross out a race if you see a horse that had some trouble trips or whatnot. Look for horses too that are distance specialists. Horses that seem to do better at certain distances or turf or dirt as well.
Yeah, the little things that somebody might overlook, especially in a horse's last race. A lot of people they'll look at their PPs from the top down, and you see maybe 2 bad races at the top of the form line. A lot of people say, okay, they move on to the next horse instead of digging deeper. Well, yeah, maybe that horse was stuck inside at Del Mar over the summer where you just spun your wheels. You couldn't do anything if you were stuck downside for most of the meet. And now the horse is drawn outside, much more favorable, maybe even getting a little flash relief. Who knows? I mean, there are a lot of things that you can come up with when you're trying to find the winner of the race, and also when you're trying to find a long shot. You don't have to really make too much of a case. If you like a 20-1 shot, you don't have to make too much of a case for the horse. Hey, I like the horse. Here's why. Boom, take a shot.
And the horse doesn't know his odds,
Exactly. No, I love it. All right, so we talked a little bit about mythical play in the contest. Let's talk about your daily wagering approaches. When you're sitting at home in front of your ADW or you're at the racetrack, what kind of player would you say you are, and what are you looking for? When you actually go up to the windows and place a bet.
Yeah, so I like to do a pick 4 or pick 5s. If you can score one of those, I mean, they could pay very well. Especially if your handicapping's on, and sometimes the stars will align for you. But typically, I like to do daily doubles and win place bets. So I like to find a horse with some value, try to beat a favorite, and do a good old win place bet.
Yeah, I'm very similar. My brain is programmed to try and find the winner of the race. Very hard time trying to figure out who's going to run second, third, or fourth. So trifectas and superfectas are not really a part of my arsenal. I wish they were, because I do play a lot of the live bankroll tournaments, and it'd be nice to be proficient in those in the trifecta wager, because you can whack one of those pretty good, and automatically your $2,000 bankroll is now $20,000 if you play it right. But I'm kind of with you. I love the double, and I preach this all the time on this show and everywhere else. The doubles, to me, is such a great bet, because you can look forward into the next race and look at the probables and see what kind of value you're getting. It's not an unknown. Yeah, the combos might get whacked late or whatever, but at least gives you a general idea of what your payout's going to be, so you can maximize your bet and bet more efficiently. So I'm with you. I love the double. I do love the multi-race sequences as well, because you can get a nice big score. But if I'm grinding out a day, like, I want to look at the double and I want to see, maybe the favorite combo is being way over bet. So the favorite to the third choice in the next race might actually be very, very good value if you happen to like the favorite in the first leg. Whatever the case may be, it just gives you a lot of wiggle room if you know what you're betting into.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. We're going to talk about the late pick 4. We talked about multi-race sequences. We're going to talk about today's late pick 4. First off, we've got a really good 9-race Sunday card. Again, there's a mandatory payout in the pick 6. Got some really good stakes races, some very competitive races. It's an excellent card, and I do think this is a really cool late pick 4 to sink our teeth into. So let's kick it off. Race 6, Calbred, $20,000 optional claimer, non-winners of 1, contested at 6 furlongs on the main track. Morning line favorite is number 8, Resilient, at 5-2. He's drawn favorably where he can just kind of stalk the pace. Should be sitting on a peak race, making the 3rd start of the form cycle. Just ran a good second at this level last time after a slow beginning. I do think he's the one to beat. But I also thought that, maybe if it wasn't his day, anyone could win. After him, I thought it was a pretty competitive race, but it looks like you're pretty targeted here. So why don't you talk to us about race 6?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, one of my angles is I like speed on the outside on these shorter races. I think 7, Brace for Impact. It's a good gate jockey. Maldonado knows this horse well. Lightly raced 6-year-old, got a 6 furlong workout in there. I think if he can get out, get a good break, he can possibly sit the trip. And then of course the 8-horse Resilient, the outside post, good gate speed, stretching out, solid workout on 11:27. I'm going to go with the 7 and 8 in race 6.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before about how people just look at the first, maybe the first or second form line. If you look at Brace for Impact, you look at that last race and you go, oh my God, it was terrible. Just lost to 2 of these horses, was 8-1, but it was a 6 furlong turf sprint. Meaningless, coming off a layoff. So that has all the hallmarks of being just a prep race for this spot, right? This horse has won over Del Mar, is 1 for 3 at Del Mar. Karen Headley doesn't have a lot of horses, but she is a very, very capable horsewoman. And I have no problem using her. And I agree with you. You got Maldonado, very aggressive out of the gate. This horse has shown tactical speed before. I like it. 6-1 on the morning line would be a great way to start off the pick 4. And again, I agree with you. I think you do have to use the 8, Resilient. He is definitely the horse to beat. But I like it. You're kind of targeted here. That'll give you the opportunity to maybe spread a little bit in some of these more contentious races as we go through the late pick 4. All right, let's move on to race 7. One of the coolest races of the year for me. I absolutely love Classy Fillies. And we've got the $400,000 Matriarch Grade 1. Fillies and mares going 8 furlongs on the turf. The rails are at 0 feet all day today. Chad Brown has 2 in here from the East Coast, including the morning line favorite, number 6, Regal Glory, at 8-5. If you're a speed figure guy, she absolutely towers over the competition. But the 6-year-old is currently on a 3-race losing streak, including twice as the heavy chalk. So, perhaps she's lost a step. She's in the twilight of her career. Obviously, if she runs her race, they're all running for second. I did this race for the Del Mar website. You can check out my full analysis there. I talk about the other Chad Brown horse who I like a little bit in this spot. But Mike, why don't you tell us who you're using in this race for leg 2 of the pick 4?
Yeah, so you mentioned 6, Regal Glory, the defending champ in this race. Horse will retire after this race as well. He's fresh off a Breeders' Cup Mile. All eyes will be on Regal Glory, but you see these races with 2 Chad Brown horses, and usually the longer shot is usually across
the other Chad Brown.
So yes, I'm going to go with Dolce Zell on top. He's got Irad in town just to ride this horse. Proving speed figures. I think this horse can sit the trip. Got the 5 Hamwood Flyer. D'Amato with the meat he's having, it's incredible. This horse has a lot of early speed. I'm sure they're probably going to try to get him to go wire to wire. And, if he runs his race, he can definitely do so. And for a longer shot, I like the 2 England's Rose. He's got an A- workout. He's working great. John Sheriff's is 20% graded stakes races. I think this horse is live as well. So what a race. The Matriarch Stakes, Grade 1, looks like could be had by the 2nd Chad Brown horse. So that's I'm going to go with the 9 on top.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That was my top pick in the analysis. I just figure she She's definitely not fast enough on paper compared to Regal Glory when you look at her form. But you also notice that she's coming off an August layoff, and she's a lightly raced 3-year-old. Who knows how much she's matured in these couple of months? And Chad Brown knows where to put his horses. He's not bringing her out here just to kind of run around the track. She's going to be competitive today. Whether she's good enough or fast enough to beat her stablemate remains to be seen. But I think it's 6-1 on the morning line. It's an absolute must use, and I might even make a nice little win bet on her, because to your point, you mentioned Urad Ortiz comes out to ride her. This is a grade 1 event, and if Chad Brown thought Regal Glory was a cinch, probably would have kept this one in the barn or looked for another spot for her, right? So to me, that tells me that this girl is very, very live today. And I like your 2 other price horses as well. I agree with you. Hamwood Flyer is really the only speed in the race. Problem with Hamwood Flyer is that she goes as fast as she can for as far as she can. But, Mike Smith is so good on the front end. If he can just kind of get her to settle a little bit, maybe lull everybody else to sleep, there is a possibility where she can steal the race. And then if she goes way too fast, a horse like England's Rose is going to be coming late with her typical strong late run. So I like very similar horses. In my analysis, I did mention Pizza Bianca a little bit, just because I thought it would be a cool story if the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Philly Turf winner from last year came back and won a grade 1 matriarch here at Del Mar. It would just make for a good story. But she has a lot of maturing and a lot of improving to do to beat the other horses. But fascinating race. I love it. And I really like your horses in there. So hopefully we'll be alive heading into race 8, especially with that 6-1 shot, Dolce Zell. You got a 6-1 in the first leg and maybe a 6-1 in the second leg. You'd be looking pretty good for a very, very nice payout. So let's look at race 8. Starter allowance contested at 1 mile on the main track. I thought this was a very, very difficult race. Morning line favorite is number 4, Bright Leaf, at 5-2. This 3-year-old looks perfectly fine, but I wouldn't be in any hurry to take him as the favorite since he's been stuck at the starter level for a while now. This will be his 7th time trying to win this condition. So not exactly a horse you want to go to war with on his own. I thought this was kind of a spread race, and looking at your selections, it looks like you think so too.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with the long shot in this race. Tiz Quantum, the 6. You look at his last race, he had a troubled trip. They put the blinkers on him. And I think Kent DeSormo is due to get on the board, and this could potentially be the race where he gets a win for this meet. So I'm going to go with the 6, Tiz Quantum. Also like the 7, Street Art, Bill Spar. JJ Hernandez has early speed. I think if he can get out in front, he can possibly sit the trip. And also Juan Hernandez, just to note, is hitting on 26% of his route races. So
Wow.
I'm like the 7. Bright Leaf, the favorite, ran a second at this level the previous race. Steady workouts, so he's got a shot as well. And another long shot, the 2-horse Petruo. It's got some interesting back class if you go back to some of his previous races, and he does have the best workouts on the local track. So those are the 4 I'm going to roll with in race 8. 6, 7, 4, 2.
Yeah, I think you've got the right horses. Just want to mention Tiz Quantum a little bit. I like that you talked about the addition of blinkers, and this trainer Rolando Quinones, he's very, very sneaky. He almost won with a 30-1 shot in the lid lifter yesterday on the turf. He had a very good summer meet with limited starters. This horse is very, very sneaky in here, going turf to dirt and adding blinkers, and you're getting 12-1. So I love that you're shouting out that horse. And then I agree with you. I do think number 7, Street Art's got a huge shot, mainly because of what you mentioned with Hernandez. Hernandez actually rode the favorite the last 2 times in this race. Bright Leaf gets off the morning line favorite to ride Street Art. So to me, that's a huge vote of confidence. Hernandez is riding extremely well yesterday. He won the grade 1 Hollywood Derby on the turf yesterday in a route race. Like you said, you mentioned the 20%, 22% in route races. He's very good. He's a very tactical rider, very good judge of pace. I really do like your horses in this race, going 4 deep. and you've got some prices, which is what I always love. So 2, 4, 6, and 7 in street art for the third leg of the pick 4. All right, here's the pay leg. Let's see if we can close it out. Race 9, we end the meet with a very competitive $80,000 optional claimer, non-winners of 2, contested at 8.5 furlongs on the lawn with the rails at 0 feet. Morning line favorite is number 5, Earl's Rock at 3-1. He is one of 2 Phil D'Amato runners, both of whom figure. Again, this is the other race I did for the website, so you can check out and see who I like. I thought Earl's Rock was going to be pretty tough, second off the bench, getting Pratt to ride. But I also like Phil's other horse, a Lincoln Hawk, and it looks like we have a very similar opinion in this race, Mike. Why don't you tell us how we're going to get paid in the nightcap?
Yeah, so, last race of the meet, D'Amato's got 2 horses, and just to cap off just an incredible meet he's having, especially on the turf. So, yeah, I'm using the 5 on top, Earl's Rock. Pratt knows this horse well. He's stretching out to 1.16 miles. And training very well. He's got some bullets on the turf training track. So that was very impressive. Also, the 6, Ready Soul, JJ Hernandez is up. I think this race could determine who wins the jockey title. It's a very competitive race between Pratt and JJ. I believe they're even tied going into today. So it should be interesting to see how it shakes out. I think this horse will enjoy the distance, and he's got a live shot as well. And just as you mentioned, the other D'Amato, Lincoln Hawk, this horse is in great form. D'Amato is 21%, second off the layoff, which is very impressive, and 2 bullet workouts, 11:27 and 11:20, on the turf track, respectfully. So those are the 3 I'm going to go to close it out, and hopefully make a score on this late pick 4.
I love it. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the 2 D'Amato horses are going to be very tough, but I like that you come up with a 5-1 shot with JJ Hernandez riding again, like you said, leading rider. So he in contention for leading rider. He's going to be on live mounts all day today. So that's good. I'm just going to throw out a little wise guy pick, number 9 Zaffarelli. If you're playing in an online contest and you need a 10-1 shot or higher, I've always liked this horse as a router, and he spent most of this year sprinting. And in his last time, he did actually route, but he had a ton of trouble, never had any room. That horse is a lot better than he's shown. I think that horse could be sneaky. Going to be very tough to beat Earl's Rock or Lincoln Hawk, but I think that horse could hit the board at a number. I'm going to go ahead and post this late pick 4 play up on the board. Let's just recap Mike's selections. 50-cent late pick 4 starting in race 6. He's going 7-8 with 2, 5, 6, 9, with 2, 4, 6, 7, with 5, 6, 10. And remember, when we talked about the races, Mike did give out his top selections in each race, and he's got some really good prices. So if you want to think about a win bet or a double, you should definitely think about that as well, and get involved, because Mike's coming at us with some long shots to spice things up. All right. That wraps up the final best bet seminar of the meet. Big thanks to Mike Corrales for coming on and sharing his insight in today's late pick 4. Thanks for watching, everybody. Racing God's willing, I will be back at it in the summer of 2023. And I'll definitely be around next month at Santa Anita. So till then, good luck to us, and let's make some money.
Thanks Frank.
Everyone. All right. Thanks, Mike.